Greetings and salutations. Let me make this a little bit. Let's start here first, and then we'll go back to the. Well, that doesn't work at all. So, Batman Red Rain. People have been asking for a Halloween recommendation, something fun to read, something easy to get your hands on. Batman Red Rain. It is really a fun read, especially for Halloween, where you're looking for something like that. It is not something that you have to have even read Batman comic books before. Like it literally could just be um, something that you just wanted to do just because of Halloween. You didn't have to. You don't have to know a lot about Batman. You don't have to just. It literally is just sort of a standalone story that you can jump in. It was originally published way back in 1991. Now I didn't know that there were actually multiple sort of follow ups to this. I didn't know there were a couple, so I have some reading to do on my own because I did not know. I remember seeing the titles, but I didn't know they were the same sort of Elseworld premise. So this is the cover, and basically Batman versus Dracula, right? The premise is Batman versus Dracula. Batman is investigating, and it's really interesting because it's called an Elseworld tale, which means this is a standalone story that does not fit in with the rest of the normal comic book stories. Like it's just something that's sort of out there. And this is really one of the problems that people have with modern comics is that this was very common. If you had people who wanted to tell a random story about a character, they want to do something crazy or radical with a character, they would get approval to do something that is in like an alternate like it's almost like fan fiction within the fandom. It's like, well, the artists have this fan fiction idea. Wouldn't it be funny if Batman took on Dracula and what would happen? And the premise is that you're set in Gotham. It's weird because the Batmobile looks so odd. You don't quite know exactly when it's supposed to be taking place. They use so this is the cover of the book. It's kind of this is the original print. It's kind of gray with the a lot of the blood and the colors as contrast. Doug Moench does the story. He did all three of these stories in their trilogy because there is also um, two other stories that go with it. So I guess they came out with, one's called Crimson. I got to find it. Okay, Bloodstorm came out first. Bloodstorm came out in 1994, and then Crimson Mist came out in 1998. So them visiting this sort of premise of Elseworlds and Batman vs. Dracula comes up multiple times. Let me give you a sample of the art, which I basically showed you right out of the get-go. Hopefully it was a good tease for you. Kelley Jones is the artist, and Kelley Jones is famous for having a very unique style. He really taps into a very unique look for Batman with these massively long ears on the cowl and the cape and dynamics. And this was one of the craziest battle scenes where Batman's fighting these, vampire creature things. If you know anything about like the Sandman comic book, sort of like that, gritty Victorian style, how people look, it definitely is an interesting appeal to it. I enjoy it. It's said about basically like there's a homeless crisis, there's a homeless issue going on in Gotham City, and Batman discovers that there's a family of vampires doing this, and Dracula himself is actually in town. And then the Brood kind of turns on Batman, and he's bitten himself by a vampire. Her name is Tanya, and then it becomes this sort of like battle to deal with his own illness and problems of battling the vampirism. People believing him, like Alfred doesn't believe him, but then of course when he's going through these different things, Alfred, there's a line where Alfred says, "I just thought you were delirious. We're going to do this." Gordon as well. Gordon has to go through sort of a process to understand what's real and what isn't real. And I will say it's a very satisfying, fun little read. It's long. It's about I think 90 something pages. It was a fun read. It was longer. So people have asked that this is one that I can definitely recommend. You like vampire stories, Dracula stories, yet like comic book superhero stuff. It was kind of fun. I wish there were more gadgets, and I wish the story moved a little faster. So those were my two big complaints. If I had a negative, like it's not some sort of great classic all-time wonderful story because of those two elements. I think if it just moved faster, we had a little faster pace, especially in the beginning. And then we had Batman coming up with some like crazy ideas and gadgets and things to battle the vampires. That would have been a lot cooler. There's not enough of that. So look, people have asked. I said, look, there's lots of stuff you can read. I'm not big into a lot of the monster creature stuff, but obviously on the DC side, this is where the Vertigo titles go. If you want to go backwards and go into like old Vertigo titles, Alan Moore and Swamp Thing, Hellblazer, those type of things would be things that would probably be up your alley. And of course, there are one shots. Batman met Frankenstein. I want to say, let me see if I can figure that out real quick. It's a long time ago. 100 and something, like one. Oh man, how long ago was it? It was so long ago, long before me, man. It was oh, it's Detective. Okay, so it's Detective 135, and it's like a time travel story or something. I don't remember all the details, but there was this cover I'm going to share for you so you can see it. So there are stories out there that just kind of tie to traditional, you know, monsters and creatures, the universal monsters and that kind of thing. So yeah, this is Batman and Robin jumping off a stagecoach to basically attack the true story, confront the deadly danger in the true story of Frankenstein. What a fun comic. Good luck. I don't know. I don't even know where this is. 10-cent comic book. This has been around a minute. Good night. So this is the first page, which obviously you can see the similarities to the cover in the splash page with this little intro. And you have this, look at, there's Windmill. Yeah, all right. We got some cool stuff in this. So I've not read that. Maybe that's something I could do, but I haven't done that. On the Marvel side, obviously Marvel Zombies, it was hugely popular. And what I have read of Marvel Zombies, I actually did enjoy. I do enjoy the kind of the premise. The what if introduction kind of was like rushed. They wanted to try to test the waters to see if they could kind of do it, in my opinion. But there's plenty of darker things with, like, you know, Ghost Rider and stuff, that sort of supernatural elements. I some of the later Morbius and Blade, maybe, it's not horror. That's the thing. People like want horror comics, and horror comics tended to be a lot of sort of some mainstream stuff and things like. I mean, the horror comics didn't really tend to be like the mainstream stuff. You'd have to go to indie stuff, and that's like, you know, that's where Crow came from, for instance. Where people have asked about the comic book Crow because we did a talk hard on it. So anyway, you want a recommendation? It's a fun read. It's a great time. Like, you can have fun with the idea Batman's fighting vampires, man. That's pretty cool. And then what happens to Batman is just like off the chain. And it's pretend, it's Elseworld, right? It's fan fiction. That's what Elseworld means. Like, it's kind of like What If was on the Marvel side. That we'd have, well, what if, you know, Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? Okay, this is a story we can tell about what if that happened. So things like that. So, all right, well, I hope you enjoy it. I love your thoughts. Give me your feedback on things that you'd recommend, and we'll try to put them on the radar screen, hopefully for next Halloween. We can kind of do a better job of giving people the timely content that they may want because of the holidays and that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm Pops. Thanks for your time.